Thank you so much for choosing to move with us. My name is Lindsay and I am the founder of Strong Like a Mother. If you don't know much about SLAM already, we are a company who empower people through movement. We want you to be able to be the best version of yourself, and we help you to do that by looking at your body, your mind and your spirit, and encouraging you to really nurture these elements of yourself. The way that we do that is through strength training, yoga and dance. We know that everyone is unique and that we all have our favourite ways to move. We want to help you to explore those ways, but also to encourage you to move outside your comfort zone and try something new. I really hope that you enjoy this offering from us. We have brought you some of the best coaches across the industry. We are really looking forward to sharing it with you. As we are not in the same room as you, please be really mindful, as always, and listen to your own energy. It's important that you take the options that the coaches give you that are most appropriate for you. And if something doesn't feel right, then please don't do it, and always reach out to us to ask for help. Most importantly, have fun. Enjoy yourself, enjoy exploring and moving your wonderful body, nurturing your mind and taking care of your heart and your spirit. Take care, and we'll hopefully see you in a live class one day soon.
Hi everyone, got some hip mobility for you today. So the aim of this is for you to learn about your own hips. So we're going to start off with some rotational work. This is what people are usually lacking in. So I'll tell you the importance of the rotation once we get started. But we want to go through some flexion, extension, just every way that your hip can move, we're going to do it today. First thing we're going to start with, first thing I should say before we start is if you get any sort of intense pinching pain at any point through this, you're either going to reduce your range, so whatever position you're sitting in, you're just going to slightly adjust yourself to get rid of that feeling. If it doesn't going to go away, you're just going to skip the exercise. And move on to the next one. So I don't want you to push through any kind of pain. We might be in a little bit of discomfort through this, but there should be no pain as such. So please don't push through any pain if you feel it. First thing we're going to start off with are some rotations of the hip. So these are called CARs. They're controlled articular rotations. And what they are is just taking our hip joint as a ball and socket joint. So all we're going to do is take it through its full rotation using every muscle available to us at the hip. So we're going to start off, you're going to hold on to a wall or a door or a chair, something to just keep you steady. I want you to really engage your core. So we want our pelvis to be slightly neutral. You don't want to be overly extended in the lower back, so bring that pelvis into neutral if you can. Engage the abs. Don't let anything move but the hip that we're going to move. So set yourself up, engage those abs. With our outside leg, so the one that's furthest from the wall, we're going to flex that hip. So what that means is we're just going to lift the knee up as high as we can. We want to keep this back leg straight, so we don't want to bend the back leg to bring the knee up more, because now I'm just cheating slightly. So I want to keep that back leg straight and just use my hip flexors to pull that knee up as high as I can. From here, I'm going to take my knee out to the side, so I'm going to open up my hip. What we don't want to happen as we open the hips is for the pelvis to move to the side. What you want to do is imagine you've got headlights on your hip bones and they're facing forwards. So as you open that knee out to the side, headlights stay forwards, they shouldn't shift to the side. So we flexed, we take it out to the side, keeping the pelvis forwards. At this point, keep the knee where it is. Try to keep the knee where it is. It might drop a little bit, that's fine. But we're trying to keep the knee where it is as we rotate. So I'm trying to lift my foot up as I rotate my hip. This is where you're maybe going to feel it start to come into the side of your butt. If you feel it there, good. Try and push through it. If you start to cramp, again, try and push through it. Just take a few deep breaths. Try and get through it. It does pass. And then we're going to start to extend. So I'm keeping this bend at my knee. As I start to extend my leg back, the knee drops at this point, that's absolutely fine. I just want to extend as much as my glutes will let me. So I don't want to lean forwards and I don't want to extend from my lower back to get more. I just want to push back as much as my glutes will let me. And you'll notice that we really don't have that much hip extension naturally. From here, that's us at the end of one half rep. So you're just going to bring the knees together. Then we're going to reverse it because we want to complete that rotation. So we've gone one way backwards, we're going to go another rotation forwards. So we're going to extend again just from the glutes. You're going to open, so we're opening the knee this time. This is the external rotation. So we've opened the knee out to the side, trying to keep the foot where it is. Now try and keep your knee back. So the point that my knee is at right now, I don't want it to move forwards from this point. As I lift my knee back up, again, fight to keep that back leg straight, lift the knee up as high as you can, and then we just bring it back into center and down. Now you might have felt that on the opposite hip. Totally fine if you do. It's just your glutes really help to support you in this position, because what we don't want to do when we lift the leg is to do this and compensate. You want to really try and stay up tall, and it's right here that helps you do that. So if you're feeling it in the opposite hip, good. So we're going to do that one more time, same leg, a little bit faster this time. So hold on to whatever you have supporting you. We're going to flex that knee up. Take the leg out to the side. Again, keep the pelvis forwards. We're going to rotate. So we're trying to keep the knee where it is as we lift that foot. And then we're going to extend. So just push back from the glutes. Push, push, push. As far as your glutes will let you without arching the lower back. Keep the pelvis tucked under. And then we just bring the knees together. That's one half. Let's reverse it again. So we just extend again. Now we externally rotate. So try and keep the foot where it is as you open that knee. And then keep the knee back as we lift up out to the side. Lift up as high as you can. Again, keeping this other leg straight. Bring it back into center and down. Good. Now we're going to go on to the other side. So 2 reps on this side as well. So just turn yourself around, hold on to whatever you were holding on to. Keep that core tight. Don't let anything move. Don't let the pelvis move at all. We're going to flex the hip, lift that knee up as high as you can. Keep the other leg straight. Take it out to the side as much as you can without moving from the pelvis. So keep the pelvis pointed forwards. Open that hip. Keep the knee where it is as you start to rotate. You might find that you're more limited on one side. For me personally, I'm a bit more limited on this side, so I don't get quite as much rotation as I did on the other side. And then we're going to extend again. So keep that bend in the knee as you start to extend. Keep the core tight. Don't let the lower back arch. Just extend as much as you can from the knee. Bring the knees together. We're going to reverse it. So you're going to extend from the hip again. Externally rotate this time. So we're turning the knee out. Then try and keep the knee back as we lift up, out to the side. Bring it back to center. Down. One more time. Same leg. We're going to flex. Open that hip. Take the knee out to the side. We're going to rotate. Push that leg back. Just extend from the glutes. Then knees together. And then extend again. Open that knee. Lift the knee up out to the side. Back to center. Down. Good. So that's our hip cars. We're going to repeat them again at the very end. And we're going to see if we notice any difference, because once we've done all, we're just about to go into some rotational work. So once we have done the rotation, the rotational work, your hips should feel a little bit freer and looser. So what we're going to start with is this position called a 90-90. So it's called a 90-90 because we have 90 degrees at our back knee, 90 degrees at our front knee. Try and be as close to this position as you can be. We want the knee to be in line with the hip, and we want the knee also to be in line with the foot. So we want everything to be nice and square. If a couple things can throw you off here. So if you don't have very good internal rotation, so that's going to be this back leg, the position that this back leg is in is internal rotation. If you don't have very good internal rotation, what you might find is you start to feel a lot of pressure on the inside of the knee. If you do, all you're going to do is get a yoga block or a pillow or a shoe, anything, and just pad under the knee. And it's really important we only pad the knee and we don't pad along the whole shin, because if we do that, we're just taking ourselves into more rotation if we lift the foot. So you just want to lift the knee up slightly, takes us out of that rotation ever so slightly, pad something under here so that the knee can rest comfortably. If you have the opposite problem and you find the pressure in the front knee, even if you don't feel any pressure in the front knee, but say your leg is away up here and we've got all this space between the knee and the ground, what I want you to do, same thing, you're going to get a yoga block or a mat, not a mat, sorry, a yoga block or a pillow, just something, I mean, it could be a mat, just something to put under the knee so that it can rest. Really want that knee to be rested. If you do feel the pressure on the outside of the knee this time, it's just that your rotation, your external rotation isn't so good on this leg. So what you're going to do is prop yourself up and sit on something. Again, yoga mat, some books, a block, wherever you want to. Something that's just going to elevate you slightly. So really be comfortable in this position before we move on. So if you need to pause the video and go get yourself comfortable, go for it. First thing we're going to do is just try and find that internal rotation stretch. So if we start off with our chest facing over this front knee, what I want you to do, your hands can be on the floor. You don't have to be sat up with your hands off the floor, so hands can be on the floor. What I want you to do is start to turn your chest over this back leg. At the same time, I'm trying to drive this hip down towards the floor. So what I want ideally is both bum cheeks on the floor. So my front bum cheek is on the floor already, but I want this one to also be touching the floor. So you really want to try and push down through that hip to really try and push the glutes onto the floor. If sitting up here is really uncomfortable, what you can do is bring your hands down to the floor and just sit back. Because what that does is it just decreases this rotation a little bit. So you can just sit back, and what you should start to feel is a stretch across here. You might find it more around the back, but you should mainly feel it around about here. And we really want to try and turn the chest, but bring the hips with you. So try not to just rotate from your torso. You really want to think about the hips. So we're trying to take the hips to the floor. If you're really comfortable in this position, so if you're really comfortable sat up like this, what you then can do is take same hand to shin, opposite hand to thigh, and you can try and sit up as tall as you can. The whole time you want to try and keep this knee pushed down. It doesn't matter so much if it lifts ever so slightly because we're just working on this leg, but you really want to try and actively push it down towards the floor. So this is us just feeling that stretch. Next, we're going to move into our external rotation. So this is why it's really, for this next one we're going to do, it's really important that our knee is on the floor. So if you need a block or a pillow or a towel or something, please get it. So we're going to face over this front leg. At this point, you can tuck the back leg in if you want to. It doesn't have to stay out. Our chest is going to face over this front leg, and you're going to stick your chest forwards, stick the bum back. Once you do this and you're in this sort of extended position, your spine is in this bowed shape, you should start to feel it a bit deeper in the glutes. You should feel it a little deeper inside the joint. Really stick your bum out as much as you can. If you don't quite feel it yet, what you're going to start to do is just bring yourself forwards ever so slightly. You're not going to have to come far to feel this. So we're just, as you come forward, you keep your chest pointed forwards. So lead with the chest. And then from here, we're just going to make it a little bit more passive. So you can take your hands out in front and just start to let yourself lower down. So at this point, my spine is starting to straighten out. That's totally fine. What we don't want to happen is to be hunched like this, because then that tilts our pelvis under and we lose that stretch in our glutes. So make sure you still stick your bum out, stick your chest out the whole time. But if your spine does start to straighten a little bit, it's fine. But we're bringing it down as low as we can. Leading with the chest, aiming to get the belly button to the thigh. Then from here, with my front knee, I'm going to start to push it into the floor. And now push it hard enough that you can take your hands off the floor. And then you're going to push your leg into the floor even harder to sit you back up. And then we're going to pull ourselves back down Leading with the chest. Push the knee into the floor to set you back up. And then we're going to go one more time. Pull yourself down. Lead with the chest, belly button to thigh if you can. And then push that knee into the floor to set you back up. Now you should have felt that in your glutes, sort of side of your glutes. That's external rotation. That's what we're strengthening here. Now we're going to move to internal rotation. So my opposite hand is going to come to my front knee. I don't have too much pressure on this. So all I'm doing is trying to keep it from lifting. So I'm not forcing it into the floor. I'm just applying a little bit of pressure so that it doesn't lift. And now, we're not doing internal rotation. We're doing abduction. So I'm pushing this knee into the floor. What I'm going to do is point my back foot. From here, what I want to do is try and lift this knee off the floor, but keep my foot down. So I've pushed, I'm applying pressure to my front knee, pointed the back toe, and I open that knee as far as possible. I'm trying to get as much distance between these two knees as I can, and bring it down. And lift up again. So you're really trying to squeeze the glutes to open this knee as far as you can. And down. And again, lift up. Really squeeze as much as you can. Even squeeze from your front leg. Really try and open this knee even more. Push it into the floor. And down. And then one more time. Lift up. Try and force as much distance between the knees as possible. And down. Good. Now we're moving into internal rotation. So that's now this back leg. If you had tucked the leg in, you're going to have to bring it back out. So we want that 90-degree position. From here, you can have your hands wherever you want to. You can have them resting on your front leg. You can have them in front of your front leg. You can have them behind the front leg. All I want you to do is try and find the position where you can sit up as tall as possible and just get a little bit of movement in that back leg. For me, it's here. If I sit here, face forwards, I can just lift my back leg up. If that's not happening for you, all you're going to do is come forwards a little bit, see if you can lift it. You can even come down to the elbows, see if you can lift it more. What you want to be careful of is that as you lift the leg, the hips don't start to move forwards. So we want to keep the pelvis where it is, and we just lift from the hips. Now, as we do this, you might start to cramp in here. Try and push through it. Just take deep breaths and try and push through it. We're only going to do 5 lifts. So, chest is over the front knee. Find your position where you can just lift that leg up. And we're going to lift and hold. And down. And lift. Down. Lift. Down. And again. And down. And then last time, we're going to lift. This time, what I want you to do, reach for the ankle. Be careful not to pull the heel towards the bum. Keep that 90-degree at the knee. Start to lift that foot up as high as you can. And then from here, you're going to squeeze everything you've got, everything you can possibly get to try and keep that foot up there as you slowly start to take your hand away and then try and keep the foot there. Keep holding. Keep holding. You might shake, just go with it. And slowly lower and relax. Good. Now, all of that again on the other side. So we're going to get into our 90-90 position. One thing I should add is that because we've just done the internal rotation on our now new front leg, as we do the external rotation, you might feel a bit weaker on this side, or you might feel like you cramp a little bit more. And also same can be said for this back hip. Because we worked the external rotation on it, you might cramp a little bit more on the internal rotation part. But if you do cramp, please just try and push through it. If it gets so bad you have to stop, then that's fine. But really just try and take a deep breath and get through it, because it does start to go away. So we're going to start to find that internal rotation stretch again. So set yourself up in your 90-90. If you have to pad under the front leg, under the back knee, sit up a little bit higher, go for it. We really need to be comfortable in this position before we move any further. So we start off facing over the front leg, and then we're going to slowly turn our chest towards this back knee, taking the hip with you. So don't just twist from the torso, we really need to take the hip with us. You might notice a difference from one side to the other. For me, this side is much less comfortable than the other side that we started on. So we're really trying to push that hip down into the floor. Try and keep this knee down as well, but if it lifts a little bit, it's not too much of an issue. So if you need to, you can lean back, try and feel that stretch. You should feel it sort of across here, kind of deep within the hip. Almost feels like a sort of twisting sensation. So we're coming down. Also, if you need some more, opposite hand to thigh, other hand to the shin, and try and get comfortable in this position. Okay, so let's turn to our external rotation. So again, if you need to pad under this knee, please do it. So chest is going to face over this knee. Sticking your chest forwards, stick your bum out. So really trying to tilt that pelvis towards the floor. Get that bowed, extended shape in your spine. Start to feel it coming into your glutes, kind of deep in your hips. If you don't feel it yet, you're going to just let your body come forward ever so slightly, but don't lose that bowed shape of the spine. And then from here, your hands can come in front. We're going to make it a little bit more passive. Just let yourself come down. Again, a little bit. Your spine straightening a little bit is totally fine. Just don't hunch completely. Just go to wherever you can keep a little bit of extension. So we're still trying to stick our bum out. We're still trying to stick our chest out. And then you're going to start to push that knee into the floor enough that you can take your hands off. And then push that knee harder to set you back up. Good. And then pull yourself back down. Leading with the chest, belly button to thigh. Push back up. Good. And last time, pull yourself down. Lead with the chest, belly button to thigh if you can. Push that knee into the floor to set you back up. Good. Now we're going to go into abduction again. So opposite hand to knee. Just applying pressure. We're not forcing the knee down. We're just applying pressure so the knee doesn't lift. You're going to point the back foot. And then we're just going to lift this knee up and squeeze. So we're going to lift and down. And lift. Really try and squeeze this glute to open the knee as much as you can. And down. And lift. We're trying to get as much distance between both knees as possible. And down. And then again, really try and squeeze the front knee, not the front knee, sorry, the front glute as well. We're trying to open both knees. So even though this one is already on the floor, really press it down into the floor. And relax. And then one last time. Lift up, really try and open both knees. Feel it in both glutes. And down. Good. Now onto the internal rotation for this back leg. We're going to face back over the front knee. From here, find that position where you can sit and just get a little bit of movement from that leg. So whether that's here where I am, or if you have to come a little bit forwards, or even all the way down to your elbows, wherever you need to be. So if we're ready, we are going to lift the foot and down. Make sure the hips are not moving with us. Keep the hips where they are. Just lift that foot and down. And again, lift and down and lift down. And then last time, as we lift this time, if you can, you're going to reach for that foot. Make sure not to pull it towards the heel. Make sure not to pull the heel towards the bum. Just lift up as high as you can while keeping that 90 degrees at the knee. And then from here, you're slowly going to take the hand away as you squeeze everything. You've got to try and keep the foot there. And we're going to hold. Keep holding. Try and lift it even higher. And relax. Good. Okay. Next thing we're going to go into is a little bit of a straddle. So a straddle, I'm going to do this from the front and the side so that you can see. When we sit in a straddle, our legs are open like this. So I want you to go not to 100%, let's say maybe 80 to 90% of your max. So if your maximum was here and this is really hard to hold, you're just going to bring your legs in ever so slightly, because we're going to work a little bit on rotation in this position. So you're just going to open your legs to a comfortable but challenging position. You're going to sit up tall. So let me do this from the side so that you can see what I'm doing. So I don't want you to sit like this. So if you can get your legs open really wide, but you're having to sit like this, I don't want you to do that. I would rather you bring your legs in a little bit and sit up tall. So what I'm doing is I'm really tilting my pelvis forwards, lifting my chest up. So if you need to, you can sit on some blocks to just take the stretch off your hamstrings a little bit, and it allows you to move your pelvis. So if we come into our straddle, what you're going to do, I'm going to be doing this with both legs, but you're only really going to see this one. We're going to externally rotate, and then we're going to internally rotate. So think about the knees. My knees right now are facing the ceiling. To externally rotate, I'm trying to take my knees to point behind me. And it's really going to depend how much rotation you have. So I'm really trying to point the knees behind me. And then now I'm trying to turn my legs in to point my knees in the way. Good. And then take them back out. In. Out. In. As we take them out, really squeeze your glutes to allow that to happen. Turn them in. And then just one more time both ways. We're going to externally rotate, turn the knees out, squeeze the glutes. And then this time internally rotate. We're trying to get the knees down towards the floor. Good. You can relax, shake your legs off there. I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. So we're back in that straddle position. What I want you to do, make sure you can sit up tall again, so really tilt the pelvis. You're going to lift the arms overhead. We're trying to keep our spine slightly extended or straight. We just don't want to be hunched. So we want to be up nice and tall. From here, we're just going to start to fold forwards. And then press your legs into the floor to set you back up. And then again, we're going to come forwards. Press your feet into the floor to set you back up. Try and keep your shoulders up in where they are. So if your shoulders are here, try and keep them here the whole time. If you can only get them to here, that's fine, but just keep them here the whole time. So we're constantly trying to lift our shoulders even higher. So come down, push back up. Let's just go for 2 more. So coming down, push back up, and then one more time, coming down. Try and hold it there. Try and externally rotate your hips now. Turn those knees out. Try and push your chest through a little bit more. Try and lift your shoulders up a little bit more. And now push your heels into the floor to set you back up. Good. So hip flexors this time. What we're going to do is come into a little lunge. So we're coming into just a half lunge. From here, what I really want you to do, again, a lot of hip stuff is all in the pelvis. So from here, you can see I'm a little bit extended from my lower back. What I want you to do is tuck the pelvis under. So squeeze the glutes, really trying to tuck that pelvis under. And then from here, you should start to feel it in the hip flexors already. If you don't, what I want you to do, make sure you're sat up tall. So we've tilted the pelvis under, squeezing that glute. Keep the chest up. And then what you can do from here, keep this line. So the line from your hips to your shoulders stays. We don't lean forwards. And then what we can start to do is just ever so slightly start to bring the hips forwards, and you should feel that get a bit deeper. So if you didn't feel the stretch up in this position where we're just in line with our knee, what you can do is start to ever so slightly come forwards until you feel it. You shouldn't have to go far to feel this one. So we're just going to hold this. Really make sure to just keep squeezing that glute so that you feel it in the front of the hip. Take a few deep breaths. And then from here, we're just going to make it a little bit more active. So with your front leg, the front foot that's on the floor, what you're going to think about is press that heel into the floor. Try not to think about the toes, just think about the heel. So press the heel into the floor, and then you're going to pull the heel towards you. It's not going to move. It shouldn't move. If you're on a really slidey floor, you're just going to have to press that heel in even harder. But if you're on a yoga mat, it shouldn't move anyway. So you're going to press the heel into the floor, start to draw it towards you. And then again with this, as well with this back knee, you're going to try and draw that knee towards the heel. So we're trying to close this gap, but nothing's actually going to move. So we're just doing a little isometric contraction here. Keep squeezing. And then relax. Squeeze that glute again, reset the pelvis. And we're going to go again. Dig that heel into the floor. Start to pull it towards you. Start to pull that knee towards the heel as well. Keep squeezing. Relax. Reset the pelvis again. Squeeze the glutes. Tuck the hips under. Push that heel into the floor. Start to draw that heel towards you. Start to pull the knee towards the heel. And relax. Good. Other side. So same thing, just a little half lunge. Make sure your knee, hip, shoulders are all in line. No extension from the lower back. You're going to set that pelvis. So tilt it under, squeeze the glutes. Keep the chest up. Really squeeze the glutes so that we can feel it in the front of this hip. If you don't feel it yet, we can start to slowly come forwards. But keep the glutes squeezed. If you are bringing yourself forwards, I really don't want you to extend from the lower back, because then this happens, and now I don't feel it in my hip at all. So really squeeze the glutes as hard as you can, tilt the pelvis under, feel it in the front of your hip. Good, and then from here, same thing as before, you're going to start to dig that front heel into the floor. Start to draw that heel towards you. And then with this knee, we're going to start to draw the knee forwards towards the heel. So we're trying to close this space. Nothing should move. And relax. Reset the pelvis. Squeeze the glutes. Tilt the pelvis under. Make sure the chest is up. Start to push that heel into the floor. Draw it towards you. Push the knee forwards. Keep holding. Relax. One last time. Squeeze the glutes again. Reset the pelvis. Push the heel into the floor. Start to draw that heel towards you. Push the knee forwards. Really trying to close that gap. And relax. Good. So that was true hip extension. A lot of people, they think that hip extension is this. But what I've done here, I've externally rotated my hip. Now my pelvis is facing this way, and I'm extended from my lower back, and I've also leaned forwards. So a lot of people think this is what hip extension looks like, when really, true hip extension, I'm quite limited, so keep that in mind, but you won't get much more than what I have anyway. True hip extension, hips have to stay forwards, body has to stay upright, core has to stay tight, and you just squeeze from the glutes. I'm going to go up on my tiptoe so that I can actually extend. But you just squeeze from the glutes, and that is about all you'll get. You'll maybe get a little bit more than that, but you really don't get much true hip extension without the pelvis moving. So we're going to go into another hip flexor activation, where, well, it's more of a glute activator, hip flexor stretch, but this is going to be less true hip extension and a little bit more tilted pelvis. So we're going into a little bit more of an anterior tilt here. So we're coming down into a low lunge. So before we were in this sort of half kneeling position. Now what we're going to do is go for an even wider stance and just let yourself sink down as far as is comfortable. Try not to overly extend from the spine. Still keep that glute squeezed, but we are going to have some extension from the back now. Your hands can be on the front knee just to support you, or you can have something on either side just to keep you balanced, or do it closer to the wall so that you can hold on. Because from here, so I want you to try and come down as low as you can, as much as you can take in the front here. And then from here, what we're going to do, tuck the toes under. We're going to try and straighten this back leg, but not lift the hips. So we're trying to extend the hip even more than it already is, but without actually lifting the hip. So we don't want it to be like a lunge, like this. What we want it to be, and you might not get the legs straight. If you don't get the legs straight, don't worry. It's something to work towards. So from here, I've tucked my toes under. I want to keep my hips where they are as I just try and straighten that leg. Now you see I can't get mine fully straight. I would have to lift to about here to get it fully straight and come back down. We don't want that to happen, so just straighten it as much as you can, but don't lift the hips. So we're going to do this 3 times. So you're going to squeeze that back leg, try and straighten it, try not to lift the hips. And down. And again, squeeze. Really try and straighten and down. And last time, squeeze that leg, really push the heel away from you. Feel it in the front of that hip. And down. And you can slowly come out of that. So we don't do too many of those because it's really taxing on all the other muscles. So we're going to swap to the other side and do the same thing. So coming down into your low lunge, just coming down as low as you comfortably can. Trying to get the hips as close to the floor as possible. Get as much of a stretch as you can in this back leg. Hands can stay on the front knee for support. Hold on to something. Hold on to the wall. So you're going to tuck the toes under again. And again, try not to lift the hips up. Just squeeze the back knee to straighten the leg as much as you can. So squeeze and down. And squeeze. Down. And then one last time. Squeeze that knee, really push the heel towards the wall behind you. And down. And relax out of that one. So, final thing we're going to do is hamstrings. So I'm going to show you how to stretch your hamstrings properly. So what we might need is a chair, which I'm just going to get. So if you have a chair or a low table or something, I want to show you how to stretch your hamstrings properly. I personally have very flexible hamstrings, so if I was to put my leg up here, I can come all the way down, chest to knee. But if I stretch my hamstrings properly, which I'm about to show you, I can't get that far at all. So what we're going to do is bring the foot up onto the chair, bench, bed, whatever you're using. From here, I'm just going to stick my bum out. So stick your bum out as far as you can possibly take it. Really, really tilt that pelvis forward. So we want anterior pelvic tilt. So we're sticking the bum out. Imagine those headlights on your pelvis again. You want to point them towards the floor. So foot is up, tilting the pelvis, sticking the bum out as much as we can. I would flex the foot for this one. It won't make too much of a difference, but flex the foot because it just gives you more draw in the heel. So flexing the foot, stick the bum out, slight bend in the knee. And then from here, I'm just going to start to fold forwards. And this is as much as I've got. So you saw me do it with a straight leg. and I could get my chest all the way to my knee. But here, doing it properly, can't get that far. Can't get anywhere near that far. So from here, you should feel it in the belly of the muscle, kind of midway down the thigh. And then you're going to relax out of that, and we're going to try the other side. So foot is going to come up, slight bend in the knee, flex the ankle, stick the bum out. So really tilt that pelvis, stick the bum out as much as you can, and then we fold forwards from there. So really stick the bum out. You should start to feel that stretch coming into the hamstrings. Just stick the bum out as much as you can. Good, and relax. Now we're going to do the same thing. This stretch is really good if you're someone who, whenever you stretch your hamstrings, you feel an intense pain, discomfort behind the knee. That can sometimes mean that you're stretching your nerve instead of the hamstring. So this stretch in particular with the bent knee is really, really good for that. So if you are someone, when you stretch with a straight leg, you get that kind of burning sensation behind the knee, I would go for this one. And then you can slowly, over time, start to straighten the leg, and hopefully that sensation should be gone from behind your knee. So one last thing we're going to do for the hamstrings, we're going to come back into this stretch. So flex the ankle, bend at the knee, stick the bum out, start to come forwards, fold forwards as far as you can. Then we're going to hold it here. Now from here, what I'm going to try and do, same as the last one, press the heel into the chair or the bed, whatever, start to pull it towards you, but at the same time, the space that I've got in here, I'm trying to close it off. So what I need to do is use my hip flexors for that. I'm almost trying to lift my leg off the chair, but nothing can actually move. So I'm really trying to lift through my hip flexors. I'm drawing the heel towards me. Hold. Relax, see if you can come forwards anymore. And then we're going to do the same thing. Press the heel into the chair, draw it towards you, try and lift that leg. So what that should do is pull your body closer to the leg. Good, and relax. See if you can come forwards anymore. And then we're going to do it one more time. Push the heel into the chair, pull the heel towards you, start to try and lift from the hip flexors, close that space. And relax. Good. Shake that leg off if you need to. Onto the other side. So heel on the chair, flex the foot, slight bend at the knee, stick the bum out, fold forwards as far as you can until you start to feel that stretch. Then we're going to push the heel into the chair, start to draw it towards you, and then try and lift that leg, but what that's going to do is just pull your body towards the thigh. And relax. Same thing again, push the heel into the chair, draw it towards you, start to lift through that hip flexor so that your body starts to come closer to the thigh. And relax. And then one last time, if like me, you're starting to get so far that actually your thigh is stopping you from getting any lower, you can just start to straighten the leg. So from here, again, I'm going to push my heel into the chair, start to draw the heel towards me, start to pull from the hip flexors to pull my body in towards my thigh more. Keep holding there, and slowly come out of that. Relax. Good. Just going to get rid of the chair. Now the final thing we're going to do, one last thing to finish, is just finish with those rotations that we did at the start. So we're just going to do one either side, and I want you to really pay attention to how your hips feel. Maybe they feel a bit smoother, like how they move inside the joint might feel a bit smoother. You might now feel muscles that you didn't feel working before. Just pay attention to how it feels. Hopefully it feels different. So we're going to start with, let's just start with the left leg. So we're going to flex the hip, bring that knee up, keep the back leg straight, take it out to the side. Remember about the headlights on your pelvis, keep them facing forwards. Rotate, keep the knee where it is as you lift that foot. Start to extend. Really try and push just from the glutes. Push as far as you can, keep that bend at the knee, and then knees just come together. Then we're going to reverse, so we just push from the glutes. We're going to externally rotate this time, so foot stays where it is, knee opens. Keep the knee back as we lift, 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 out to the side, back to center, and down. Good. Other side. Flex the hip, keep this back leg straight. Pelvis, core is tight, pelvis faces forwards. Take it out to the side, keep the pelvis facing forwards. Keep the knee where it is. As you lift that foot, start to extend, just squeeze the glutes. Make sure you extend only from the glutes. Knees can come together. Then we're going to reverse, extend from the glutes again. Externally rotate, open the knee, lift it up out to the side, as high as you can, back to center, and down. And that is us finished. So hopefully you've learned something about your hips. Maybe you've learned where your sticking points are, what feels nice, what doesn't feel nice, what you need to work on. But thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you have enjoyed your class and most importantly that you had fun. Check in with how your energy was at the start of the class and how it is now, and hopefully you are feeling much more empowered and uplifted. Don't forget to share your experience with us. You can get us on Instagram or Facebook and we would love to see your sweaty selfies. Please use the hashtag #SlamSweatySelfie so that we can reshare your awesome work. If you have any questions, concerns, or you just want to have a chat with us, reach out to us via email or via our social channels. We look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you.